Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are now at the end of the second test between India and England. And hasn't it been a turnaround in fortunes for India? Isn't a week a long time in Test cricket? Let's think back to a couple of weeks back. This first test, which was at Chennai as well. James Anderson, the star of the show, and Joe Root. England won every session of that test match. I'm talking about the first test match. Give it a few days off, a few personnel changes of each team, and India win every single session of the second test match. So it's a complete flip of the coin on how both teams have performed. And India won this test again at Chennai. Remember, the first test was at Chennai, second test at Chennai before they move on to Ahmedabad for the first test. But the second test, India win by 317 runs. Let's quickly go through the scores of the test. England won the toss, crucial toss. They batted first, got 329. England followed it up with 134, and that's where they lost the test, in my opinion. There was not enough fight. They could not handle the change in wicket to what was now a more turning wicket. The pitch was exploding a little bit, but I kind of like that. I'm going to talk a little bit about that after we do the summary as well. India's in the third innings of the test match, India scored 286, and it was just too much there for England, and they were bundled and all out for 164. Did not show any fight, did not show any resistance in this test match. So now the test series is levelled at one apiece, and let's talk a little bit about some of the stars of the show. And one of them in particular I want to talk about in depth, because if you go back through these videos, I've spoken about this man a lot in this over the summer in Australia and now up in India. But we first go into that first innings. Virat Sharma, 161 off 231 balls. And what I liked about that innings is he took control of the game. Yes, it was a difficult wicket to bat on, but he didn't sit back and wait, did he? He took the game by the scruff of the neck. He was positive. He was proactive in his approach to the crease. He scored 161, backed up down towards the middle of the order. Ajinkya Rahane picked up 67, and Rishabh Pant, well, what a summer he is having, 58, and his keeping's getting better as well. I think he's getting a little bit fitter. We talked about that a few weeks ago. He picked up 58. Now, the star of the show, it's obvious, isn't it? Ashwin. Discussed it in Australia how underrated, or probably not underrated, but he doesn't get the kudos he deserves as an international cricketer. He's now picked up 5 test centuries with the bat. He's got a staggering amount of wickets and fifers for India. So he picked up 5 for 43 in his first turn with the ball. Then he batted exceptionally well. Again, took the game by the scruff of the neck with the bats, picked up 106 and picked up 3 for 53 with the ball in that last innings. And Axar Patel picked up wickets. He was excellent. And Kuldeep Yadav, really pleased with Kuldeep Yadav to get another opportunity in international cricket, because I think he's a very good bowler, but he's a bowler that needs to play consistent cricket. Unfortunately for him, he's always in and out of the side, so it's hard for him to get rhythm. I was delighted for him to pick up a couple of wickets as well. So without question, the star of the show is Ashwin. A nice touch that he dedicated the test match to the crowd of Chennai, a place where he has watched a lot of cricket growing up. Successful time there with the Chennai Super Kings as well. So India, very similar to Australia, where they got absolutely hammered in that first test at Adelaide. They bounced back very quickly, and there is a lot of symmetry to this. They were beaten very easily in that first test, and they've bounced back big time here in the second test. And it sets up well for the remainder of the series, where England changed their side a lot. Jimmy Anderson was the star of the show for them in that first test, didn't play the second test because they have this theory of rotating Broad and Anderson. And I understand that. They're older. Anderson didn't bowl a huge amount of overs in that first test, but I can sense they're saving him for the pink ball test, which is the third test at Ahmedabad. Now, that's going to be interesting, because we all know Jimmy Anderson is the best swing bowler, one of the best swing bowlers to ever play the game of cricket. So under lights with the pink ball, he is really going to come into his own. So I can understand why he was rested for the second test. Broad came in and didn't really show too much. Moeen Ali came in and he was a star of the show for England. How good was he? He picked up 4 from 128 in that first innings, 4 from 98 in the last innings for him. And he picked up 43 runs with the bat where he was quite aggressive. But from my understanding, he is not going to be available for the rest of the test series. Leach picked up wickets. He got 4 for 100. But for England, where they lost this test, is in that first innings where they bundled out for 134. Joe Root can't score all the runs all the time. He was amazing in Sri Lanka, fantastic in that first test at Chennai. But the rest of that top order just can't sit back and let Joe Root do the damage all the time, because it's just not possible to sustain that type of level all the time, international cricket, especially test cricket in India. So the likes of the Sibleys, the Burns, the Dan Lawrence are going to have to show something. Stokes is going to have to show something with the bat. They just can't keep on relying on Joe Root to bang out the runs all the time. If they do that, they will lose. So this top order has to really step up and bat around Joe Root for England to be successful in this next test. Virat Kohli's just simmering away underneath, isn't he? Only played that one test in Australia, and he's just picking up a few 50s. What did he get here in this test? Picked up a 62 here in this test. He's just simmering away. I feel in these next 2 test matches, there's going to be a big 100 from Virat Kohli. I really sense that. We've seen recently Joe Root, Steve Smith, Kane Williamson, the glamorous 4, the Fab 4. Virat Kohli's in that 4 without question, but those other 3 have been banging out the runs a bit more consistently and bigger scores than Virat Kohli. And I just sense Virat Kohli is ready to explode. So it'd be good to get your sort of feedback on this test match. A lot of talk, especially out of England, about the state of the wicket. The reports are that it wasn't an international standard wicket. Now, I can sort of see where they're coming from, but I disagree, because what we have around the world at the moment, especially in Australia and New Zealand, is that all the wickets are very similar in how they perform. And I like the variety in international wickets. I like how there's wickets that are slow, low turning ones. I like how there are wickets that are fast, quick and bouncy. I like how there are wickets that sometimes assist seam and swing. You get that variety of a test wicket. And that's the challenge for the individual and a team to counteract the conditions they're about to encounter. Now, yes, the wicket was a little bit different from that first test. It was an important toss to win. But Ashwin showed you can score runs on it if you find a way. Virat Sharma found ways you could score runs on it if you find a way. Moeen Ali was aggressive with the bat when it was his turn to bat. He found a way to score some runs. Ashwin, as you picked up the big 100. So you just need to find your way in a technique that's going to be successful and that's going to work on difficult wickets. So that's the beauty of Test cricket, being able to find a way to adapt to conditions. That's with the bat, and also with the ball. You have to learn to be able to bowl in certain conditions as well, and bowl as a team and in partnership. So great to see so many results in Test cricket in recent times. And now this Test series here is well and truly alive. 1-1 England, outstanding in that first Test. India bounced back and dominated the Test from the start to the very finish. How are both teams going to shape up into this third Test? And we'll talk about it in a bit more detail in a few days' time, I feel, leading into this Test, because it's very different. This pink ball, which England have not played a lot of, and neither India, to be fair. Australia and New Zealand have played a lot of day-night Test cricket. So it's kind of sort of a new experience for both those sides. And there's going to be different members in each team, I feel, who are going to come in. So we'll talk about that in a little bit more depth. But please send through your comments if you agree or disagree, or you have other stuff to add about the outcome of this recent Test match. We can talk about the Virat Sharma, how he took the game by the scruff of the neck. We can talk about Ashwin, his dominance with ball and with bat. We can talk about the pitch conditions. We can talk about the England top order. What do they have to do to support the skipper Joe Root? Lots of fascinating points to come out of this Test. So you send through your comments. I'd love to see your thoughts, and we'll catch up in a few days' time.